I think it's pretty obvious we don't know what we're talking about, so I think everything's good.
Now y'all know what's wrong with me. And on that note,
I don't even know if it was bad wrestling. I just know that it was bad on our part.
Go support your team. Go
Yes.
support fans, cheerleaders.
The autumn mix inspired Michael. That's the first time he's ever raised his hands on a yes.
Well,
so that's pretty impressive.
Scare that referee coming back. Let's talk a little football.
hello everybody. Welcome to this special edition of the Press Box. What in the ghost of Larry Munson is going on here?
How about the dogs?
Congratulations to the dogs. We're just doing a special version talking about this historic championship for the dogs. 2021 winners of the national title. Guys, before we get into our list of intelligent questions, just thoughts on the game. Randy, just, I guess we'll get into a little bit about beforehand, but just kind of quick thoughts. We'll sum it up later. But
Well, I agree with Mike. We were talking before we started recording here that it was a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, seriously, that first half was an old-fashioned SEC defensive battle, and of course, all of them are going, this is just so boring. There's no offense. No, it's not. If you're an old-fashioned SEC fan, you were eating that first half up. And then literally, I mean, up and down in that third and fourth quarter, and just felt like a ton of bricks were taken off of you with the interception there at the end of the game.
Ooh.
Michael?
Same thing. You know, you had moments of we're going to do it, and then there were moments of here we go again.
Yeah.
You know, this is really going to happen again to us. It was a lot of fun. When it's over, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
now to look back and go, this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
But it was 41 years. I never knew when I was 20 years old and saw us win that national championship, it'd take 41 more years to win another one.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that is it was 41 years, almost 41, before that they won the one previous to it. So you're talking a long span of time now, and that's where the ton of bricks comes from.
Yeah.
Georgia's been successful, but it just seemed like Alabama was always that fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
And this time they finally were able to exercise the demon.
On this stage, raise your hand if you picked Georgia to win after the SEC game. Well, you guys remember your predictions on the press box of who would win? Somebody on this stage said Georgia would win.
I think that's the guy over there in blue.
But I think it's the non-Georgia fan.
Well, now, all right, now.
Picked to win.
And Michael, in my defense, we've been there many times.
Many
times, and have the scar tissue to show for it. And there's this thing called operant conditioning. You might want to look that up.
Yeah.
Where you get hit in the head.
That's a private school word right there.
You get hit in the head enough times, and eventually, when you hear the thing swinging towards your head, you move your head. I mean, that's kind of where we were.
Yeah.
And honestly, going into the Michigan game, I did not know what to expect. Now, I don't know how you felt, but given what we had seen in the SEC Championship, Austin, I did not have total confidence that Georgia, I knew they could win it, I just didn't know who was going to show up. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Exactly, my thoughts. And going into it, because like you said, we've been down this road so many times, and you just kind of said, it's kind of like with the Atlanta Braves. I kidded my friends because every year they would, and I'd say, listen, I'm not getting sucked in anymore. I'm not staying up and going to bed late and see them break my heart at the end.
Fool me once, shame on me.
And I kind of stuck around with Georgia, and I kind of gave up on the Falcons, gave up on the Braves, but I kept thinking, one day Georgia's got to win it. And I'm going to be honest, until that interception, until he scored, there was still that thought. Because I even remember saying, y'all, they can go down and score 2 quick touchdowns, go for 2, and beat us again. It can happen. It's about to happen right now.
They were coming down the field.
Yeah, well, let's get into, once I saw you guys line up against Michigan, I thought, and then again, Michigan, I saw Michigan's game plan, where I don't think they calculated how big and fast and mean y'all were. And Michigan's a good football team. I don't take anything away from them, but I don't think they knew how big and fast and ugly that D-line was. I knew Georgia was
I'll go you one step further. When Georgia took the opening possession and just went right down the field, I mean, just running just right down their throat, you kind of felt, okay, the right team's here.
Yeah.
But until then, you just didn't know what was up here.
The SEC game, the team seemed confused, and out of shape.
And slow.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, it
They
seemed
were
slow.
hesitant. They were hesitant.
They were out of position. People are running around wide open.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and
Well, let's talk about let's get to the game. What was the most important moment for you guys? What's the most important moment for this championship game?
Outside of the
Getting
interception.
do you say it's the interception?
That
or-
was when you knew.
That's when you knew.
It was in doubt until that interception.
What's the
flat
most
out.
important? What's the most important moment? For you?
I have several.
I've got one. But
mine are that we found a way to stop Alabama from scoring touchdowns. They kept having to kick
Yeah.
field goals, and I really was surprised that Saban. There was a couple times there that I thought, well, he's just going to go for it and try. He knows he's got to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they kept kicking field goals, and then when they got the field goal blocked,
Huge play.
you know, now all of a sudden, those were my big moments.
Yeah.
Right there.
And let me piggyback there.
Yeah.
That play, the Jalen Carter blocked field goal, is not getting nearly as much attention as it should get, because people forget on the first play from scrimmage after that blocked field goal, James Cook goes 67 yards for the longest run against Alabama's defense this year, and Georgia 3 plays later scores. That's a 10-point swing.
Yeah.
And that was massive. Now, I know that it ended up being roller coastery after that, but without that,
Yeah.
it's a different ball game.
I would say, that one's hard to disagree with. I really liked after the weird fumble in the fourth quarter by Stetson Bennett, where it's a long delay and the momentum can shift, and Georgia just didn't panic.
Yeah.
We've seen
And
kind of
neither
Georgia.
did Stetson Bennett.
No, neither did Bennett. And by the way, the moment was kind of big for Bennett when he had that fumble early on, right? We didn't know how he was going to react.
Yep.
And storybook ending, he reacts really well, really calm.
Yep.
The Dogs figure it out, which to me, that was very different from all the other Alabama games.
And on Zeus's touchdown, did you notice he fumbled the snap?
Yeah.
The ball bounced up and he caught it.
Yep.
And got
You
it to
know,
him. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm still, we differ in a few places in life.
Yeah.
One of them is me and him and Stetson. Stetson didn't lose the game. God bless him.
Yes.
He did not lose the game. And
Yeah.
I'm still just not, I can't
I
be sold out
I
with him.
respect what he's done, but
I do, but I
Yeah.
cannot, I just don't think he's.
Well, and here's my thing. Based on the fact that he led us to a national championship, and he's got another year left.
You can't argue that.
And he'll never have to buy a drink in the
Or a
state of
meal.
Georgia ever again.
Or a meal. The job is his until somebody definitively
And I
wins it.
agree.
Yeah.
That's only fair.
I'm with that.
That's only
I'm with
fair. And to me, to do otherwise sends a really weird message to the other guys on the team.
Yeah.
But I totally understand where you're coming from. But there's clearly a story with the JT Daniels thing that we don't know.
I finally came to the realization before the game that Kirby kept, back with the Justin Fields thing, we kept saying, they know something we don't know.
Yeah.
They're out there every day and they know something we don't know. And I don't think it's politics. I don't think it's race. I don't think it's anything but football, something football.
Yeah.
And I think the same case is here when Coach Smarts kept saying, Stetson gives us the best chance to win.
Yep.
Now, is he the best quarterback that we think we should have? But according to Coach Smart, he gives us the best chance.
Yeah.
So he's sending us a message that he's the guy that's got to.
Well, and
So I said we got to go with it.
I'm going to pivot back
awesome.
around and kind of run a reverse on you guys, because the touchdown pass to A.D. Mitchell, where Mitchell goes up over the defensive back. Tell you something, Stetson made a play on that thing.
Yep.
Perfect throw, the only spot where his guy could go get it. I mean, his guy was the only guy that was going to have a shot at it.
Yeah.
When the guy had to make plays there in that fourth quarter, he made plays.
And he was, and let's give Kirby credit, because I've criticized him, and I'll probably criticize him next year, but he allowed Bennett to make plays. Bennett can throw the deep ball really well, and push come to shove, he was allowed to make plays, and by golly, he and the receivers made them.
Well, he said that we weren't going to lose this game because of me.
Yep.
And I take my hat off to him that he came back,
absolutely.
because there were times that he looked, I thought, what in the world? That first sack, the guy didn't even touch him. He just fell, he just trying to get away from himself. Yeah. And I still go back to the SEC game of that picture of him trying to catch the snap, and it hits him. Sometimes he just looks like he's so lost.
Yeah.
But then he comes up and makes big plays.
Well, after that fumble there in the fourth quarter, the fact, I love what he said after the game. He said, I went to the sideline, and he said, I just kind of got by myself, and I resolved, that's not going to be the reason we lost this game. If we lose this game, that's not going to be the reason we lose it. And it was almost like the entire team kind of went, wait a minute, no, that's not going to be that's not going to decide this.
And they were clearly 100% behind him. The team
and
was
100%.
that'd be another reason
Yep.
why Smart made that move is
Yep.
if the team's behind him.
Now, an interesting thing is Stetson has said, they said, will you be back next year? He said, I'm going to play football somewhere next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, is he going to go in the transfer portal?
Yeah, well, and he said, as long as I feel like I can trust the Georgia coach's decisions, which makes it sound like there's a plan afoot somewhere that doesn't include him. And he probably, but again, physically, the ceiling has been hit with him, and it's not going to get any higher.
Yeah. And by the way, no matter what happens to him, he's going to be a legend, right?
Period.
I mean,
flat out.
He's going to be appreciated.
He'll have a strange history because he will be a legend because he was the quarterback. But if he comes out in the G-Day game and throws an interception, the whole Georgia fan base is going to be ready to, you know, kill him. You know.
All right, so let's move on. Let's go to offensive MVP. We're talking Stetson Bennett. Do you guys want to give that to him in terms of offensive MVP for you guys, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that made it happen.
Yeah.
Everybody had a little part. You know, Brock didn't play a whole. I mean, he had that touchdown, but he wasn't a big factor in the game.
Yeah,
but
I think Alabama
was
really tried to shut him
when
down.
he had to. You know, the running game wasn't really there till the end, and they did what they had to do. But overall, I would say he was the guy. Stetson was the guy.
You could make a case for James Cook, possibly. Yeah. I mean, he had some big plays as well, but Stetson was the glue there, no question.
What about defensive MVP? Randy, what do you think first?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it's hard to dance around the interception with Ringo there, but I thought Jordan Davis showed up really big. He was a non-factor.
He looked tired and out of shape in that first game.
And people were so critical of him and almost laughing at him, being considered as a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I mean, he, like Michael said, just looked totally.
Well, he was even quoted as saying that he spent the time between that last game to this game chasing receivers.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they
were in shape.
Yeah,
I mean, you could tell they had put in a lot of work to be in shape.
Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, between those two guys, those would be my co-MVPs.
And Nakobe Dean, I didn't realize, you know, the guy's got a 3.7 grade point average and has a degree in engineering and finished in 3 years.
I felt like they did not give Alabama any wasted kind of easy yards, which I thought was a big deal. To me, the major adjustment, and I want you guys to hit on this, was the amount of pressure that Georgia put on Bryce Young. How did that happen?
He seemed to step behind all night.
He did. He did. But I mean, there was no pressure that first game.
Yeah.
And he was running.
I mean, first game, he's running around back there telling, you know, go over there.
Can you go that way?
It wasn't
get
just
right
one
there?
direction. It was like, I need you, you know, it was like three directions.
Well, I think we all underestimated the impact of Georgia's secondary injuries in that game. They had two guys, and Kirby really underplayed this. Yeah. They had two guys who started that game who basically were in their first start of the season. Well, you got two first-round NFL draft guys out there, the Jets, the receiver position. Alabama found those guys. Yeah. And what Kirby and the defensive coaches had to do was start dropping linebackers into coverage to try to help compensate for some of that. And that, I mean, if you listen to some of the talk after the national championship game, these guys that analyze tape for a living, what Georgia had done for 12 games with quarterback pressures and their lanes of pressure and stuff, totally different. But that was because they were doing things in the secondary they had not done the rest of the year. They were confused, and you could flat tell it. They were out of their comfort zone, flat out.
People were running around just wide open.
Yep. Yeah. You know? Well, they got those guys back from Michigan, and they had them back for Alabama, and the difference was obvious.
Yeah, and, you know, and there was talk about, well, Alabama lost their two great superstar wide receivers, but you can't start comparing that because look at the number of 4 and 5 stars Georgia had on the bench, didn't get to play. We're playing with a walk-on quarterback. You're playing with a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, is this is what I tell people about injuries is, first of all, number one, everybody gets injuries. Number two is if you're good enough to get there, then things may break your way, right? You've got to be good enough to get there.
Somebody's got to step up.
And by the way, that's happened to Alabama a lot, where they've had other team has just the perfect injury for them to win. But you can't take away from Alabama because they're there, right? They're a good team. They deserve to be there. And if you get there a bunch, just like Georgia has, it's going to work out for you.
Well, and I'm going to say this, and I've heard people say this, and I agree with them. I think Saban did the best coaching job he's done this year. When you look at the injuries that they had to face and the fact that they were in, up until, 1 minute and 6 to go in the national championship game, they were in it. Remarkable coaching job by that guy. And I hate saying this. Yeah. But the way he reacted to Kirby after the game, I almost like him now.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was almost a relief. I mean, it was like,
well,
he was so proud of it.
Yeah, you could tell he was almost beaming with pride and said, you know, you guys kicked our butt in the fourth quarter, and almost smiling about it. And I thought, this is a little different here.
But and I will say this too, just to say a little bit about Saban. I agree, best coaching job. He has looked different on the sidelines.
Yep.
I almost even thought, is he retiring? Because there's been, you never
There wasn't that fire and passion and the yelling.
Normally, I've never seen relief after a game, even after he wins.
But you know, the one thing about Saban that I've heard a lot of analysts say is when he knows he's got a team like he had, he backs off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come down hard on them because I think he realizes we don't have what
kind of fragile.
He maximized that.
Now all of a sudden he's building them up constantly instead of tearing them down.
But it was remarkable to me that exchange after the ball game. Kirby asking about Jamison Williams, how is he? Well, we think he's got an ACL. Well, I hate that. And then Saban, well, God bless you, man. You know, congratulations.
Well, of all the assistants, you got to like Kirby better than most of the assistants he had that are coaching now.
Of all the ones that have beaten him, for sure.
Yeah, for all the ones that have beaten him, that's got to be his.
They did.
That's got to be his.
Just to have an FSU thing, but when FSU won it in 2013. Saban was on at the same time, and kind of had the same kind of fatherly look as well. Like, hey, these are my guys that have done well. So
the tendrils that have come off of him during his coaching career are remarkable. I mean, I don't know of one human being that has shaped the face of college football the way he has in his time. It's just unbelievable.
And just a model to run a successful business.
Oh my gosh.
A leadership model.
Imagine anybody running a business for that successful, for that long, at that high level, just any business.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah. All right, well, speaking of amazing, let's go to this Georgia defense. As the legends of these individual players go, I don't want to lose the fact that this Georgia defense together, they were kind of a little bit of the no-name defense because they were all so dang good. How good is this defense? Where do they rank? I mean, it's really hard to rank it because you don't know. You got to put in who they play and all that. But just in terms of what I can remember, this is a really dominant defense I've seen. This has got to rank up there in the ones I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, I think just from the sheer speed.
Yeah.
And Georgia through the years has always had a Bill Stanfield, a Jake Scott, some standout defensive player,
some stud over there.
The old junkyard defense, But this group seemed like a Cadillac defense. I mean, they weren't.
They don't have any flaws, right? I mean,
Where's the weakness?
We kind of talked about secondary, but they really push come to shove. They really figured it out. So
I'll tell you at least my take on how impressive they are. All we have heard in college football for the last 4 or 5 years is you better be able to score points or you're not going to win. That's been rewritten now.
Yep.
That narrative has been changed. And it would take a defense like this that was so overwhelming at times that offenses were powerless to do anything at times. That's the only type of defense that had a shot at rewriting that narrative, and they did.
Yeah, and that, to me, that's a great point, Randy. To me, underscores, number one, how dominant, and I don't think anybody, I think it's going to be a compliment to this defensive team that nobody's going to try to replicate this. No coach is out there telling his athletic director, we're going to do what Georgia did. Yeah. We're not going to worry about quarterback, and we're going to have this great defense, and we're going to stop everybody. That defense, I don't think you can do it that way. Kirby was able to do it, and that is so impressive and something you guys should enjoy.
Well, one big thing that helped the defense that we haven't even talked about as an unsung hero is Jake Camarda.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When you don't talk about the punter, you got a good punter.
Man, he's flipping the field every time he kicked the football. Well, and here's the other thing too. You got to tip your cap to Kirby's recruiting prowess on the defensive side of the ball. That's a priority for him. Where you've got a lot of these coaches, like you said, they're looking as their money makers on the offensive side of the ball. Kirby doesn't see it that way. For him, his money makers are going to be over on that defensive side of the ball. That doesn't mean he's not getting guys over on the offense, but he's got his eye. There's a certain model in his brain of what he's looking for, and that's the best news of all, is that this team had a lot of guys who played who are going to be coming back.
Yeah, they'll be coming back.
A lot of experience.
So that'll be, we'll get to, as we get near the end of the show, we'll kind of talk about how Georgia, replicating this success is going to be an interesting question. But
As far as where the defense
is,
ranks, so I just wanted to say this. As
yeah.
far as what we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years, I think it's the best we've seen probably since the early 2012, 2011 Alabama teams.
That's pretty safe, I would say. I mean,
Yeah, I've seen
it's
that
hard
like
to it's hard to argue their dominance, especially in an age where everybody's so committed to offense.
Exactly.
Like in other words, like 15 years ago, yeah, the defensive stats were better, but there were some teams that ran the ball, 70% of the time or something like that. So yeah, they were limiting their explosiveness right there.
Yep.
So, all right, so let's talk. We do have yes no, but it's not yet.
Ooh.
Special yes no. So
a bonus yes no.
that's right. Let's talk a little bit as we've already kind of chatted about. Let's talk a little bit about next year and just kind of replicating this success moving forward. How do you think that's going to go? I mean, you've recruited like crazy. You've got stockpiles, so I don't think recruiting is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. Can you build off a dominant defense every year, Michael? Give me your thoughts on Georgia moving forward.
I think Georgia's finally reached that plateau that they can kind of keep building on what they've done.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to try to set their standards to the standards of this team. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody who comes back knows what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's no surprise. There's a great story that I heard from an insider at Georgia that way back at the beginning of the year when they came into camp, Kirby was a little disappointed and he felt like they felt a little too overconfident, had too much going on, and not where he wanted them to be. And there's the story, who came from pretty close inside, said that they come out one day and the buses are waiting outside and they load them up and they take them out in the country to this farm. And there's a big field with a pond in the middle of it. And he makes them run and just run, and they're dropping like flies. And it's hot and humid and sticky, and the grass, and and he's just making them run and run and run, and there's no stopping, and they're falling out. And finally, Jordan goes down, and lays just flat on the ground, and gets up and takes his helmet and chunks it in that pond, and says, "I'm done. We either got to get better or quit." And they said the whole team rallied around him and came. Next thing you know, they're all in the pond. And next day, they go out and then buses are out there again. And they're like, this man's, he's going to kill us. And they load up, and the buses pull around to the swim center. And they pull up, and Kirby's waiting on the high dive. And when they pull up, he goes off the high dive. And when he does, everybody hits the pool. And he said, this person told me that was kind of the turning point of everything.
Well, and what to piggyback on what Michael's saying there, what's happened here is that Kirby, we're not playing against Florida. Mm-hmm. We're not playing against we're playing against us. We're playing against our standard. To heck with their standard. We got to meet up to our expectations in the culture of what we're doing. When you get guys, I mean, that's the Saban way. That's the Saban. It doesn't matter who we're lining up against. This is about us. When you get those guys thinking to that type of, through that lens, I mean, you almost have to just get out of the way because they're so focused on what they're doing. It's the ultimate, every man in his place doing his job. Don't worry about that guy. You worry about you. It's hard to get there, but I think Kirby's he's got them there.
And as a Georgia fan, every new year you worry about, golly, can we replace Cook? Can we replace Seuss? And then you go, we were thinking just not too long ago, can we replace Sony Michel and Chubb? And,
So I think Georgia's going to have a lot of prospects. Georgia's going to be ranked in the top 5. I think they're going to be a little bit more reliant on their offense, which is more, again,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Which is nothing wrong. When you've got studs like that and they're going to the NFL, that's what you want them to do.
And they're bringing 8 starters on that side of the ball back. So
and they're bringing some guys back. I don't think you're going to be able to rely on that historic defense, but they've got players on that other side of the ball too. So I think they're going to be fine, but they may win a little different. It's going to be an interesting season for the Dogs.
Well, and
good problems for
a lot of those defensive guys, Kirby rotated constantly through the course of the year, and those guys got a lot of experience. Now they may not have been the N'Kobe Deans and the Jordan Davises, But there's a lot of depth on that defensive side of the ball that, again, you see Nolan Smith coming back. You see Chris Smith, the defensive back that got the pick six against Clemson, coming back. I mean,
and then you got Ringo's a freshman.
Yeah. I mean, the A.D. Mitchell that caught the pass, Bowers, is a freshman.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff coming back.
Yeah.
So the defense isn't going to be bare, and the offense should be really good.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, as is tradition, we'll do a little yes and no to end up. As we end up, just we'll end up and just get your closing thoughts. But yes, no, Georgia Championship edition. All right, Randy. Herschel Walker is the most beloved Georgia player.
Yes.
You say yes.
Yes.
Say yes. Barely. I'm going to say yes, barely. But Bennett may take that as we move on here.
Stetson's done well.
He's done well.
It's all according to what happens next. if he were to go ahead and
just ride off into the sunset,
ride off, he'll go out. But I'm scared.
Yep.
That, like I said, everybody's excited because we won.
Yeah.
But if we come out and he throws an interception in the G-Day game, in practice one day, if he I knew we shouldn't have had, and then his stock is going to go. Well, but he's used to that because he's fought every.
He could go work for the SEC network right now as an analyst, never have to buy another meal in his life, and be a hero until he dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he wants to play,
and that's cool. And both of those are cool.
Yep. Nothing wrong.
He wants to play.
People forget he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
He's not a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So, next question. Michael, Austin will never doubt Stetson Bennett again. Because that was a doubter, man.
Yeah. I will say that you won't until next year.
All right, so you say no, Randy?
Yeah, you will, because the Georgia people are going to be doing it too. I mean, it's already started.
Yeah.
About it, already doubt. I mean, the guy just won your national championship, and people are going like, nah.
Yeah. I do think it's cool, just to, even as president of the Doubting Fan Club, I will say, I don't think anybody could have led that team to a championship other than him, right? And
it was meant to be.
And it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
His kind of composure.
I can't wait to watch the movie.
Yeah.
It'll be on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
His composure, we may get to that, but his composure and kind of leadership, I helped them win. They wouldn't have won without him. So
well, and the way
I like being wrong in that kind of way.
The way the team rallied around that little guy, man, you could just tell
and
they had his back.
Yeah, and he said, keep your head down, work hard, and shut up.
Yep.
And that's what he did.
Yep.
Yeah. People respect that. People respect hard work.
How many quarterbacks have appeared drunk on Good Morning America in the history of college football?
Yeah.
He pulled that off.
That's right. That's right.
Hilarious.
All right, Randy, Georgia fans won't have anything to complain about next year.
Oh, heck. Yes, they. Oh, wait.
They won't have anything to complain
they
about.
will have something to complain about. Absolutely. We've already started.
We've already started.
So, I was going to say, if Jim were here, and we miss you, Jim.
Where are you, Jim?
But
brought the helmet for you to wear.
Is it worse here in Georgia win it or Georgia complaining about not winning it would have been the question. But
I think we've tested everybody. Everybody's about time for the dogs to just shut up.
That's the truth. Just be quiet.
All right, and I wrote this beforehand, y'all. Last question here. Randy, Disney is working on a Stetson Bennett the fourth movie starring Paul Feinbaum as Nick Saban. What do you say?
I'll say yes to the movie, but no as Feinbaum. No, I'm sorry.
I agree. Yes to the movie. No.
Yes, I promise we didn't plan that. I had this written down. So, as we close up, kudos to dog fans, long-suffering dog fans. I'm proud of you. Loyalty is not promoted like it should be anymore, but kudos to the loyal dog fans. And by the way, it got paid off. So, kudos to y'all. Final thoughts as you guys end the show. Michael?
It was fun, and there's a lot of people that I wish were alive to see it. That I hate, but they probably had a pretty good view of it.
Yeah, and that would be my other question is Randy's video with Larry Munson went viral. And that was going to be my other question did we see Randy going viral in something else? Besides that video.
And not COVID either.
Yeah, but that's a pretty cool tribute to
Larry Munson. And what you just said was the whole motivation behind the whole thing. I'm driving home after the ball game thinking, man, if Munson could have called that interception, that would be something that would be played at tailgate parties from here until eternity. And I put together 3 or 4 clips from different games and edited it, but over the actual clip, and it worked. But what you just said, though, there's been so many people over these. I think of Sirianni Floyd. Miss Bulldog,
Yeah.
and how much she would have just eaten that.
Louis
up.
Grizzard.
Louis,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, my granddad. I mean, on and
yeah.
on and on. I mean, so many people. That's if the people on the outside looking in want to know why so many people were crying after that ball game. Grown men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a relief.
That's
it was like
why.
That's
a
right,
release. And there's one video out there that's not as popular as yours, but it's out there.
But what is? I mean,
that
come on, guys.
shows right at the end through the interception. It stops at the interception and shows flashes of every bad thing that's
Yep.
happened to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, just a quick bam, 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 and then he scores.
And that's
And
what it's like being a fan, by the
Yep.
way. No matter
Oh my
who you
gosh.
root for, right? You always, in that clinching moment,
Yep.
those moments are going away, and it's a big deal.
Well, and
So-
that Kelly Ringo interception was literally the modern Lindsey Scott play, and there were a lot of layers that were lifted off of Georgia people in that single moment.
Yeah.
It'll live forever.
Yep.
And the thing I've enjoyed too is there's a lot of competition between other schools, but I've heard
Yep.
from Florida State fans,
Yeah,
from
Florida
Alabama
fans.
fans,
Yep.
you know, I've heard them say, you know, I can't stand y'all, but congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud for y'all.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. And that's kind of the full. That's I think maybe why we're into sports, right? You get those moments.
Yep.
They may be 41 years in the making, but you get them. You get to share them with those who you love and thoughts of and people that
We'll
you've
be
been
back in
part of.
41 more years.
That's right.
Hey, dog people, soak it up and
That's
enjoy
right.
it. You've
That's
earned
right.
it.
Soak it up.
You flat earned it.
That's right.
Because there's people that turn this on and go, turn that off. The minute they saw these G's, turn that off.
Including Jim Raver.
That's the last thing I want to watch.
right. That's
But there's a lot of dog fans out there to watch.
Oh yeah.
Go Dogs.
Absolutely. Amen.
Appreciate y'all. We'll see you next year on the Press Box.